The cell phone you have in your pocket is thousands of times more powerful than the computer that was used to land humans on the moon. And in the future, computers will be thousands of times more powerful than your smartphone because of quantum computing. It will usher in the age of artificial intelligence. But just how does quantum computing work? Our computers are doubling in power every 2 years. But at its core, it is really just a very simple device. Even the most complex computers today are just fancy calculators. They recognize only two things, a yes or a no, an on or an off. Computer works with only two numbers, heads or tails, and that's it. Essentially, the brains of a computer consists of on-off switches, like the light switch in your house. These are called transistors. The transistors in a computer work by either being on or off. When it's on, it's a 1. When it's off, it's a 0. This is why it's called binary language. Every piece of data on your computer is represented by these switches. For example, all the letters of the alphabet can be represented by 7 switches, or 7 bits. The more of these transistors we have inside a computer, the more information it can process. So the smaller we can make them, the more we can pack inside the small frame of a computer. The problem is that we have almost reached the limit of how small we can make these transistors. Today, we can fit a few billion of these switches onto a chip the size of your fingernail. Now, instead of bits, a quantum computer has quantum bits, or qubits, which work in a really crazy way. Instead of either a 0 or a 1, heads or tails, a qubit can store a 0 and a 1 at the same time. So imagine flipping a coin. A regular computer only recognizes a heads or tails. A quantum computer can recognize or deal with all the possibilities in between. So the computing power of a quantum computer is potentially limitless, or at least much, much greater than conventional computers. So what does this mean for you and me? Well, we should be able to process much more complex problems that require processing magnitudes more data. For example, imagine being able to accurately predict the weather, not days in advance, but months in advance, or maybe even a year in advance. We will be able to develop new drugs because quantum computing will be able to accurately model the behavior of molecules at the atomic level. Recent scientific papers point to evidence that the root of our consciousness may be at the quantum level in human beings. If this is true, we will be able to create computers with true artificial intelligence because its computing power will rival that of our human brain and probably even exceed it. And if it is true that consciousness occurs at the quantum level, we will have created the first conscious, sentient being. We may be playing the role of God. The question is, will we be a benevolent God or a malevolent God? Hey, if you want to learn more interesting, fascinating, sometimes shocking stuff like that in 5 minutes or less, subscribe now. Or don't, if you don't give a bleep. But be sure to leave that comment down in the comment section.